France not only has one new Gen 11 player, but now has two, and they are the next biggest threat that Isagi and Blue Lock have to face. And with Japan's overwhelming win over Nigeria, all the new Gen 11 players had something to say about it. Blue Lock Chapter 326 officials have just released. Let's talk about it. So the chapter starts with the announcers going crazy and the audience going even crazier, saying, "Goal, goal, he is here," as we see the backside of Isagi's jersey, with his parents cheering him on in the stands, and Bachida's mom right next to them. The announcer saying, "Yoichi Isagi." With a final goal from Japan's young ace, Blue Lock's Japan seizes an overwhelming victory in the first round. In case you didn't know, Nigeria scored 0 and Japan scored 4. You see Bachida, Isagi, and Corona celebrate together, with Bachida doing the literal absolute most. Both of them dapping each other up in the next page, Bachida says that was some telepathy, as Isagi responds, "You're the best, monster." With Isagi continuing saying, "I knew you'd give me that pass," as Bachida responds, "Ha, I'm the only one who could pull off the egotistic stunt." As they continue talking, Corona comes over and tries to jump over both of them, him saying, "Golazo, golazo," with Corona continuing saying, "You two are too cool," with Raichi saying, "How about it, folks? I Jingo Raichi kept them at 0 with my defense." As we see Ren, similar to how his brother's gonna look later on, completely unsatisfied. As we see the main two bench bros, Shido and Bato, looking on. Bato saying, "What an annoying shitty game." Shido says, "But I gotta say, it sure turned me on, fucking weirdo." Hey, but he like me, so I can't even hold him. Both Bachida and Corona at the bottom of the page are on each other's shoulders and they're doing the exact same thing. As we hear someone ask, "Hey, Isagi," and the person that called out Isagi's name is none other than Ike. As he says, "That was one crazy new technique you tried out. How much of that did you plan?" Isagi saying, "None of it. That last shot was a total ad-lib." As we see the different puzzle pieces from the game related to Onazi, Isagi says, "I was expecting Onazi to have an awakening, but I really had no idea at that moment that he'd make a shot after that trap. The moment you stopped him, I was inspired to try making my own version of that shot." I could think to himself, this freaking guy. His imagination and inspiration speed are on another level than before. His egoism could devour Ego's entire plan. With Isagi continuing saying, "I got to test it thanks to you. Thanks, Captain." As we cut to the Nigerian side of the game, with them saying, "We were totally obliterated." Kuso saying, "They devoured all of it," looking over at a specific someone, and that someone happened to be Isagi. With Kuso saying, "My ego, our fire, Onazi's evolution." He drew out that awakening and made it seem like he was gathering data for the Japanese team. But in the end, all of it was exploited to help him grow. How stoic can one guy be? He's out of his mind. And once again, he's glazing the other team. As in the next page, Kuso says to everyone, "Yoichi Isagi is a horrifying soccer machine." So Nazi cutting in saying, "Yeah, Kuso, he is horrifying. He's the most horrifying egoist we've met in our tiny world." Nazi continuing saying, "But he smashed apart that tiny world for us. He is the ultimate soccer player," as Isagi catches wind of this and looks back. So Nazi saying, "Thank you, Yoichi Isagi. I'm glad I got to meet you here." With Isagi saying, "Did you have a nice memory?" With Onazi telling Isagi to shut up, this won't end as a memory. As he reaches his hand out for a fist bump saying, "I'm going to surpass you someday. Just you wait, Yoichi Isagi." As they fist bump, and Isagi saying, "That's the egotistical curiosity I want to see. Let's meet again." And all's well ends well with Japan and Nigeria. We then cut to the U20 German team hotel. The announcer for the game saying a passionate fist bump from both team aces. The Japanese team has made an incredible start with this first round sweep, as we see a cola can get crushed by somebody, with somebody saying, "Quit smiling, Yoichi," as it turns out to be none other than the bum-ass individual known as Kaiser. I hate watching Isagi because he couldn't do anything like that. If it's not obvious, I really do hate this character. He continues by drinking another cola saying, "I'm so shitting angry." That didn't even make any sense. I can't even drink my shitty cola. He got humiliated so bad he can't even English correctly. Or in this case, German. Whatever the hell that means. We then cut to somewhere in Tokyo as it's Sai Itoshi yawning at watching the Nigerian game, with him saying, "You could have won 8-0, you ass clowns." As we then cut to the U20 Spanish team hotel, with Bunny Iglesias being there watching Isagi, with him saying, "Huh, that happy kid from before." As we see this devious ass look on Bunny's face, he says, "Oh, so you're one of us too," realizing that he's gonna have to play him eventually. We then cut to the U20 French team Blue Lock training field, where we see both Julian Loki and Charles, with Charles saying, "Hey Loki, What do you think of Japan's level? With Julian Loki responding, small fry with nothing but passion and topicality. As we see in the bottom corner, it says France New Gen World 11 Julian Loki, confirming that he is a New Gen 11 player and has been this entire time. As Charles starts to reminisce about his time playing in the NEL, he says, but they've got guys like Shido. I can't wait to fight against him. We're playing Japan in round 2, right? As Julian's running, he stops and says, right. Well, on a personal level, I want to face Yoichi Isagi again and ask whether he still thinks I'm full of myself just because I happen to be born fast. The idea of Isagi still being in his head. As we hear from some random individual on the sideline saying, oh, is this Yoichi Isagi guy really that interesting, Loki? As Julian Loki asks this new character, how does he look to you, Hugo? As we see in the final page of Blue Lock Chapter 326, the other New Gen 11 player for France known as Hugo Bronze, with him saying totally unsuitable, referring to Isagi and how he plays. So just like that, France has 2 New Gen 11 players, and they will be going up against Japan in the next match. This will not be an easy match for Japan, that much is certain. And with 2 New Gen 11 players, one probably that has adaptability and the other one being Loki that is just fast, this is going to be a problem. Overall, seeing all the New Gen 11 players, aside from Lorenzo, talk about Japan versus Nigeria, honestly kind of peak. I can't wait to see how this game plays out, and this is only just the start.